This and turning to gun control, which obviously we've been talking about for days now. You have an A rating from the NRA, and the NRA has now said they're going to offer meaningful contributions in the wake of this terrible tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut. What do you think they mean by that?
Well, I think the right thing what we ought to do is do what you've been doing, and that's respect these families in this community. Second, what I've done in the state is ask every one of our schools to go back and let's look at our safety precautions, and let's make sure every parent feels comfortable. I mean, I talked to families up in Connecticut, and I talked to families around Florida. Some of them were they really had to think about sending their child to school this week. So I think that's the next thing to do. There'll be plenty of time now to think about if there's something we ought to deal with. Is it mental illness issues we ought to deal with? Things like that. So
what would you support in terms of legislation if it in fact comes to that? I mean, do you believe that there should be a stronger gun laws? You're well supported by the NRA, and historically they have not supported that. So, and how far would you be willing to go?
Sure. Well, as you know, I support the Second Amendment. I believe, in the Second Amendment. But look, what I want to focus on right now is the families. Make sure our schools are safe. In our state, we're at a 41-year low in our crime rate. So we're doing the right things in our state. But I think whenever anything happens like this, let's step back and say, what can we improve?
Well, I understand that people often say that in the wake of a tragedy. Let's wait, and I actually think I've now covered enough of them that we'll wait until we bump up against the next tragedy, and there will be one. There's no doubt about it. So I guess I would like to hear from elected officials, what are you willing to change? Your daughter, you've talked about her, she's a teacher. I mean, do you think is your answer, let's arm the teachers? Some people have proposed that. Is your answer, let's not make these semi-automatic weapons available, the rifles, the long guns available? Do you think background checks actually should be instituted? Right now, somebody can be mentally ill and it won't show up in a background check, or somebody can have a conviction for domestic violence and it won't, they can still get a gun. I mean, where does it start? What are you comfortable doing?
I know. I think right now what we ought to be doing is let's talk about all those issues, and let's think about what we can do to improve it. But here's what I think about. One, it's just like I've been to the law enforcement funeral deaths in our state, and your heart goes out to those families. And then afterwards you say, okay, so what can we do to improve? In Florida, we're doing the right things right now. We're at a 41-year low in our crime rate. But I always want to sit back and say, okay, so what could we do better? And that's what I want to think about with this.
Okay, I think with all due respect, you're not going to answer my question, because I guess I just want you to tell me what you'd be comfortable to support. And I get it. It's going to be part of a conversation. But I think there have been a number of things on the table, and I don't feel like you're telling me, should people not be able to buy those high-capacity magazines? Some people have suggested that. What thing are you willing to say would be a good start that you would bring to the table in any conversation about gun control?
Well, my approach on things like this is to, one, respect the families, mourn their losses, make sure our schools are safe, and then start the conversation and listen to the Floridians. What I do every day is travel the state almost, it's pretty much every day, and listen to Floridians and get their ideas, and then come back based on those ideas or what we can improve.
Well, I hope that all those conversations turn into meaningful legislation somewhere down the road before I get to go out and cover another tragedy, of which we've now done a bunch of them.
We don't want another. We can't imagine this happening to our families.
Oh, my goodness, no. Governor Rick Scott joining us. He's the governor.